Support for this podcast comes from Link AKC. The Link AKC Smart Collar provides peace of mind and makes dog ownership easier by putting your dog's needs and location right at your fingertips. Learn more at linkakc.com. Promo code podcast.
You're listening to the Morning Punch-In Show with RB and Jae, live and direct from more cities than an Instagram model's bio. Get ready for some boxing talk on the clock. Let's face it, you're not working and somebody's got to pay for the Wi-Fi.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It is RB and Jae. This is the Morning Punch-In Show, the most unpredictable, unconventional, honest, and authentic morning boxing talk show in the game. Today is Monday, March 13th, 2017. We got Jake Donovan as our special guest today, giving us Jake's take. He writes for FightNights.com. He's going to help us understand and break down this new World Boxing Super Series that was announced last week. So if you didn't hear about it, if you didn't read about it, if you just don't understand it, make sure you hang on tight. He's going to be calling in at the 20-minute mark. Let me properly introduce my partner in crime, creator and founder of BadCulture.net, contributor for BlackSportsOnline.com, Jae LaBeouf. What's good, Jae?
What's good, RB? Good morning and happy Monday, everybody. It's good to be back with you on this Monday after another fight weekend. As you all know, it's Triple G versus Jacobs Fight Week in New York with festivities kicking off today. But I won't be leaving the comfort of this 75-degree weather until Thursday. But we'll talk about that more in the show. So let me give you today's hot question real quick before we jump into the show. After Floyd's announcement this weekend where he had to make sure everybody had their cameras on so they could capture the moment, where he says he's coming out of retirement to fight Conor McGregor, let's make it happen. How convinced are you now that this fight really happened? Let us know your thoughts. I know it's whipping a dead horse, but hey, we got to talk about it. If you want to respond to us, make sure you use the hashtag TMPS. It's a dead horse, RB. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know.
Well, I know, and we didn't really want to ever talk about this whole Mayweather-McGregor thing, but you know, he did announce that he's going to unretire and he wants to fight McGregor in June. And so, you know, is it a publicity stunt? Is this for real? We'll talk about that a little more. But, Jae, if anybody's already given us some of their responses, why don't you read off a couple, you know, 1, 2, or 3 of some of the followers' responses there?
Will do. From our guy over across the pond who always rocks with us. What's up, Simplificado? He says, I don't give a bleep, not watching it. Bleep. Effing circus. Unretirement news timing is to take some of the media attention away from Triple G Jacobs. Good point. Nice little ruse there. Sean Conrad Strauss says, as long as Conor is tied to the UFC, I don't think it happens. If he could break ties, I think it could happen. We've got a response from Alex Solano who says, it's all for publicity. Too many obstacles for it to actually happen, in my opinion. Shout out to Daniel Vance at DJVA297 who says, we can get this sideshow, but not Canelo Triple G. What the bleep? And let's see. Imperial Stout says, I think it happens. Makes a lot of pay-per-view money from the ridiculous amount of mainstream exposure, and the fight is a clown show. Holler.
Thanks.
It is that. You know, it makes me wonder if they do this, if it's going to be some kind of like spectacle, like when they do the WWE and you get celebrities like Shaq or somebody like that to participate in WrestleMania. Maybe they should take that approach and make it like, if it's already been a sideshow, might as well do it like that. But that's a hot question for today. We want more responses later in the show. Remember to use the hashtag TMPS. And back to you, RB.
Yeah. All right. And the phone lines are open if you'd like to actually talk with us about your thoughts. 718-508-9852, press 1, and that's how we will see you in the queue, and we could pick you right on up. So there were some fights this weekend, so we're going to recap those, and then we got some in case you missed it topics and a really good hot topic with this World Boxing Super Series that was announced last week. So let's just jump right into our fight recaps this weekend. David Lemieux with the stunning third-round stoppage of Curtis Stevens on HBO After Dark. This matchup was guaranteed to end in a knockout. However, David Lemieux overexceeded any expectations that I think anybody had, and he took out Curtis Stevens in the third round cold, Jay. Curtis was out cold. It was brutal.
Good night. Good night. Good God. And that was. It was sad. I mean, we like a vicious knockout. Curtis is a friend of the neighborhood. You know, we've had him on several times, but what a vicious knockout. What I really want to know is how much did Lemieux weigh on fight night? He damn near had a little muffin top over the top of his trunks. He just looked like a big, bad bruiser. I knew they were going to exchange some big blows, but I did not expect Curtis to get the NyQuil like that. God,
they were both ready to land the hook, and David just landed his first, and really it was a scary thing. It was brutal. You know, Curtis's poor mom was there ringside. I mean, can you imagine what she was going through? He was unresponsive for a while. They had to put a neck brace on him. He was escorted out of the ring on a stretcher. You don't play boxing. They did say that he is okay, that he got some, you know, CT scans or, you know, MRIs and all that, and that he checked out perfectly fine and he's out of the hospital. So happy to hear that.
Definitely happy to hear that. What I didn't think, you know, we're used to fighters talking trash leading up to the fight. It is the nature of the fight. What I didn't appreciate, though, was the fact that David Lemieux was just such an ass after the fight. He didn't even try to go check on Curtis. I mean, at the end of the day, you're both fighters. You both lace up the gloves. You both get in there. Man, before you jump on the ropes and be a dick, at least kind of look over and make sure the man is still breathing. But no, not for David Lemieux. And then got on Twitter after that and acted like a complete asshole again. So, poo on you, David Lemieux. You don't have that rhymes. You don't have a fan in me, not at all.
I'm going to point something out, and I say this, you know, respectfully, but usually when a fighter wins, the corner jumps in the ring and they cheer and they celebrate, right? The trainer, the cut man. Has anyone noticed that, like, when John David Jackson's fighters get knocked out, you don't see him jump in the ring? I mean, when Brian Jennings was laid out, I didn't see JDD in the ring. When Curtis was unconscious, cold. Now, maybe there's a rule. I don't know. That's why I'm asking, where if somebody's knocked out, are they not allowed to get in the ring because maybe the doctors need to take care of the fighter? I'm not quite sure. If anybody knows, let me know, because I'm like, this is his second fighter that was laid out, and I didn't see him in the ring. So maybe it is a rule.
Yeah, but, I want to know the answer to that, too. Please, people, put us up on game. Let us know.
Yeah. So the opening fight on the telecast was Gamboa, and he got a decision win over Rene Alvarado in his return. I'm so over Gamboa, Jay. I felt like he failed to impress again. He was very lackluster. I think I could do without him now.
The greatest thing about that Gamboa fight was the fact that all of boxing social media was unified in their disdain for this fight. We all came together like one big happy ass, we are the world family. That fight was trash. You can blame it on ring rust or whatever, but all that standing around is not from ring rust. Reflexes and timing and those types of things are from ring rust. It was just a whack-ass, boring-ass, corny-ass fight. And I'm so cool on seeing Gamboa because it's not like he's going to change his style up anytime in the near future. So I'm good. I'm good on seeing Yuriorkis Gamboa, but God bless him. He laces up the gloves, but I'm cool. I could fast forward through that.
Well, here's the bigger question that I had. How does HBO go about approving and disapproving fights? Because it seems like some of the stuff they approve is kind of whack, and then some of the stuff that they don't approve is like really good fights. So I don't know if it's a budget thing, or maybe they felt that Gamboa still had like some type of name behind him. But, you know, you look at the top rank card coming up in April with Valdez, Ramirez, and Magdaleno, and it's like HBO didn't approve that card. That's why it's on top ranked pay-per-view. So how did this Gamboa fight get approved?
How did this Gamboa fight get approved and Joe Smith Jr. versus Shawnee Monahan didn't get approved? That would have been a way better fight. It would have been on St. Patty's Day. The environment would have been lit. Even if that wasn't the main event. Okay, I'm going to feel you that might not be a main event for Boxing After Dark. But that card could have been crafted and curated to be a really fun, festive event that the St. Patty's Day people would have tuned into. Maybe get, what's his name, who does the 24/7 voiceovers, Ray Donovan, Liev Schreiber, he's Irish or something. Like, put together a whole package and do something a little festive. It wouldn't have been that expensive because you can't tell me this Lemieux Stevens fight cost that much. I know that fight would have cost less, and it made it so much. It made it fun.
Well, I understood why they wanted to show Lemieux Stevens because I figured the winner would probably get Canelo. You know, so I understood why they showed that main event. But Gamboa, I think we're over it. I really would like to move on. And talking about Canelo, I could definitely see a Canelo Lemieux fight. I could definitely see that being Canelo's first fight at True 160 before he fights Golovkin. I could definitely see that, hands down.
Oh, absolutely. This was clearly a bridge to that, a big puncher. I think that Canelo gets the best of him if we do a little early morning prediction, but maybe it'll be a good competitive fight. Hey, they both will be big as hell. We know that. What do they weigh? Lemieux looked like about 182 pounds on Saturday night. So between him and Canelo, they better reinforce the ring if they make that fight.
It was huge. Listen, before Jake Donovan comes in, let's go through some in case you missed it topics. If you were flying under the radar last week or if you just didn't have time to catch up. Closed circuit viewing tickets for the MGM Ballroom for Canelo versus Chavez went on sale this past Friday. As we told you last week, the event sold out. Tickets are gone. So you can still buy closed circuit tickets to watch the fight at the MGM, but in the Grand Ballroom. So that'll be fun. Tickets are $75. You can buy them to MGM box office. Gennady Golovkin, Danny Jacobs. This Saturday in New York. RB&J will be there in full effect, hopefully. There's a big snowstorm coming, Lord.
God
I don't know. But in case you missed it, there is no rematch clause in this fight. So the only belt that Golovkin doesn't have is the WBO title that Billy Joe Saunders has. So a victory this weekend could lead him to fight Billy Joe Saunders so he can get all the belts, right, in the fall. So there's a lot of risk here because if Danny Jacobs wins, there's no rematch clause. And this is all for Tom Loeffler, by the way. Yeah, there is no rematch clause in the Jacobs-Golovkin fight.
Hey, they got a lot of faith in their guy, but, hey, they got a lot of faith in their guy that there's no rematch clause. If Jacobs wins, here's a part two hot question for those of you who are listening. If Danny Jacobs does pull off the miracle at Madison Square Garden, or can he pull off the miracle at Madison Square Garden? If he does pull off the miracle at Madison, would that be the upset of the year in your opinion? Tweet us your thoughts on that. Is that the upset of the year? What's the bigger upset? Chavez Jr. beating Canelo, Danny Jacobs beating Triple G. What do you think is the upset of the year? Let us know as a secondary TMCF topic this morning. Let us know your thoughts on that. But yeah, no rematch clause.
That.
We'll see.
I really like that. So Demetrius Andrade, he fought in Germany this past weekend, in case you missed it, and he got the split decision nod over Jack Colque for the WBA belt. I heard Andrade had it a little tough out there. I don't know if you were able to catch that, Jay. I wasn't.
I wasn't either. I got confused. I was at home and trying to keep up with when the fight was going to come on, but got distracted and ADD, as I usually do on Saturdays, and I missed the early fight. Now, Andrade, maybe we can chalk up his performance. I didn't see it, so those of you who watched will have to let us know. Maybe we can chalk up his performance to ring rust, because I don't hear anybody saying this fight was particularly boring, just that he was having some difficulty. Now, that to me sounds like ring rust. That mess Gamboa was doing Saturday night, that was
Well, look, when you go to Germany, you're on a different time zone. It's different food. I mean, your sleep patterns change, so I'm sure it was a lot of that too. Anyway, Paulie Malignaggi officially announced his retirement. That happened, in case you missed it last week. Clarissa Shields dominated this past Showbox card Friday night, and she stopped her opponent. Jay, I didn't catch it. Did you? I'm just reporting in case you missed it, News.
I know. And please don't troll me to death, because I definitely support women in boxing, but I had another commitment on the work side, on the other work side, so I didn't get to see it. I'll have to get it on DVR. But I did see the highlights.
We're just reporting the news. Okay, cool. Gervonta Davis versus Liam Walsh is set for May 20th at Copper Box Arena in the UK. So Tank is making his first title defense in the UK. And some people have been kind of hard on Mayweather Promotions about this. Like, why would you send that kid to the UK for his first title defense? Well, the money is more. They have more TV. They're going to have a bigger crowd. Like, it would have been nice for him to come back to Baltimore.
That's right.
It would have been nice for him to come back to Baltimore to defend it, but realistically, what channel was it going to be on? How much money was he going to make? So I just think it was better opportunities for Tank. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with it, but the money's different over there.
Yes, it is. When you go across the water, the UK and those people turn out. So go ahead, Tank, make your money. It's a tough fight, but make your money, young man.
Yeah, and it's going to be a hostile environment. I mean, the Copper Box Arena, I'm not quite sure how many people it holds, but in the UK, they get 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people to their fights. It's like
That's right.
a soccer game, a football game. It's not like, 7,000 people at the Barclays. Way different territory. Moving on, Nonito Donaire is officially a free agent. He parted ways with Top Rank, and he wants to fight guys that are over in the PBC, the guys like Leo Santa Cruz, Abner Mares, Carl Frampton, Lee Selby, Jesus Cuellar, Gary Russell Jr. So he feels like, if he would have resigned with Top Rank, that those opportunities would have, not been available to him. It looks like it was an amicable split, from the things that I've seen Carl Moretti say and Nonito and even his wife. They said, hey, we had some of our best years in boxing together. We did a lot of great things together, but it was time to move on.
Right. Well, we'll see what's next for him. Nonito Donaire is a nice guy. I used to give him a hard time when he was at his peak. But he really is a nice guy, and I wish him nothing but the best. Hopefully it's what he wants it to be with this break with Top Rank is.
All right, so the last bit of In Case You Missed It news, which will roll right into Word on the Curb, and we got Jakey calling us in about 4 minutes, so it'll be a quick show today. Floyd Mayweather announced his unretirement. He wants to fight in June. He wants to fight Conor McGregor. I mean, it would be a huge, huge payday. Our hot question today was, are you sure that this fight even happens? Or was it publicity? I don't know, Jay, if anybody else has answered your question before I get into the Word on the Curb. If you want to read a couple more of those. Oh, I think you got a new one here.
Oh, we got a new one about Chavez and Canelo. Our other hot question, Chavez Jr. beating Canelo is a bigger upset than Danny Jacobs beating Triple G. Interesting. But back to our current hot question about Floyd and Conor McGregor. I think the general consensus is that, people who understand the business, is this fight ain't happening unless Dana White says so. And Dana White has made it pretty clear that he feels like they're lowballing him. He says that Conor McGregor is a bigger star than Floyd Mayweather, and I don't know about that one. But they're not interested in entertaining a fight unless Floyd come up off that money. And coming up off that money also includes probably giving them a share of the pay-per-view revenue. And, so don't hold your breath. That would be more contentious than trying to make a Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. So don't hold your breath if you're interested in Mayweather versus McGregor. If they can come to the table and make it happen, cool. But like I said, there's more of a chance of me wearing a bikini in social media than that fight happening.
I saw a video interview. I'm not sure if it was Fight Hype or exactly where it was, where Floyd was saying, McGregor wants $25 million when he hasn't even made $2.5 million yet. So he's got to come down, from that throne in the UFC and ask for a realistic amount of money. So, it's all gonna be about money. But here's the Word on the Curb that kind of ties into this, is that the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas has been put on hold for June 10th. Last week, we told you there's a hold for June 17th, and apparently, Word on the Curb is that that's for Kovalev Ward's rematch. Well, June 10th, T-Mobile, what other fight in Vegas would be so big in June that could happen at the T-Mobile Arena? And Floyd Mayweather just announced his unretirement, and he wants this fight in June. And he only fights in Vegas. So they apparently have a hold for June 10th at the T-Mobile Arena.
Oh, wouldn't it be crazy if it was like something just completely off the radar and it wasn't a fight with McGregor and Floyd was like, I'm coming back to fight Keith Thurman? You know, what if it was like some crazy random thing like that? I mean, I'm about 99% it's not, but could you imagine if he just threw us a big ass curveball like that? Like, boy, you something else.
Oh, man. And that's all I have for Word on the Curb. I had one other little piece that I'm waiting for my source to get back to us, so hang on after we get with Jake, and hopefully I'll have an answer by then. And actually, we don't see Jake just yet in the queue. Jay, why don't you go to a quick commercial, and we'll get Jake on.
Let's do it.
If you want the best, BoxStats beats the rest. BoxStats is the best boxing app for all you boxing enthusiasts and professional boxers. Perform a quick search and get all the info you want and need. BoxStats, available on the Apple App Store. Download it for free today. BoxStats, know your opponent.
Hello, we are back. Welcome to the Morning Punch-In Show with RB and Jay. We are live and direct. RB is in Philadelphia, PA, and I am still in Los Angeles, California, but we will be heading this week she's already on the East Coast. We'll be heading to New York for Triple G versus Danny Jacobs. It's cold. If you guys see me shiver in the streets with icicles hanging from my nose, make sure that you check on your girl, throw a blanket on me, bring me some hot cocoa, something, because I'm not built for that kind of weather. So, hey. We're going to see what we're going to do. I think we got Jakey in the queue. Let's go ahead and, what's Jake Donovan on the show without this?
Jakey. You're rocking with the Morning Punch-In Show with RB and Jay, and now it's time for Jake's Take. Jakey.
Hola.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing great. Your intro gives us like so much hypeness. It's crazy. Listen, we want to get your
for
take.
Monday, right?
Yes, we want to get your take this week on this new World Boxing Super Series that was announced a few days ago. It is a revolutionary $50 million elimination tournament that was launched in New York. And I'm going to give a couple little bullet points, but then we need you to help us understand it and break it down. So from what I understand, the winners are going to receive, the Muhammad Ali trophy. The total prize money in season 1 will be $50 million. It's a knockout tournament that's going to kick off in September. It's going to feature 2 weight classes with 16 boxers. It'll be 14 fights in 14 separate fights or fight nights. They partnered up with some marketing and broadcasting people. So can you give us more? I mean, those are the highlights that I know. Those are the bullet points that I know about this thing. Who's involved? What does this mean? Can it really work?
Yeah, well, actually, I do think it will work as long as they stick to the plan. If everyone is willing to work together. I like the idea of this tournament more so than the Super Six because it's a straight knockout tournament. You lose, you're out. It's not a round-robin tournament that's going to threaten to drag on for 3 or 4, for 2.5 years like the Super Six did. So I do like that concept. And obviously the money that's being offered up, it motivates a lot of people. You look at, if they're focusing on like the 154-pound division, a guy like Erickson Lubin who wants his title shot and who wants his best, if he's going to get a $2 million payday to fight whoever he wants for the next year, I mean, that can entice people rather than waiting around sitting for a title shot. So with the right divisions, yes, this can absolutely work. And as long as the promoters are willing to work together and not just cherry picking who they want to be in the tournament.
Well, okay, time out. Do you know which 2 weight classes this is going to feature? Because nothing specific. Do you think it'll be – okay, you don't know yet.
No, I kind of know. I was going to say, the fact that you said nothing specific, that's the part that has me hesitant. And it also has me surprised that so many people are jumping on board with this. Like when PBC announced this year that they have about, I think, 68 dates coming up for 2017, everyone was like, oh, well, it's just skeleton schedule. Who cares? It's already failed. We're motivated. Richard Schaeffer, who's very media friendly, all of a sudden announces, hey, I got a tournament. I'm going to be in it. We have no idea what weight class. We have no idea what's taking place. But there's $50 million that we're going to do. So everyone all of a sudden is so super excited about it. Like you said, it is revolutionary, but there's no names, no weights, no venues. no firm network. There's a lot of things that still need to happen. The cruiserweight division has been hotly mentioned. It seems like the concept of this tournament is to shine light on divisions that haven't been properly showcased. The cruiserweight division, it seems like every time there's a big fight, it's always a fight of the year contender. It's the least paid attention to as far as weight classes go. It's just always been, heavyweights styled, yet the fights are always far more thrilling. I mean, I can't think of a bad cruiserweight fight that I've seen in the past couple of years. So with the right guys getting involved with that, I mean, that could blow up. But in order for the cruiserweight division to be showcased, you have to have Alexander Usyk in the tournament.
I was just going to say, I could think of a bad cruiserweight fight because that last Usyk fight was. But other than that, it's been cool.
Yeah,
it's been
right.
Cool.
To be so Machuno was just hopelessly overmatched, and I guess he did what he had to do to try to survive against Usyk, which he did. But that's a very fair point. But yes.
Okay, well, I got to play devil's advocate a little bit because, this all sounds great. But, you just mentioned earlier, promoters have to be willing to work together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Schaeffer, of course, Richard Schaeffer's like, of course I'm open to working with Bob Arum and Oscar De La Hoya, right?
Yeah.
Is Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy really going to be open to putting one of their fighters in this tournament, knowing what their relationship has been with Schaeffer in the past?
Yeah, I was going to raise that point as well. I mean, that's a great point, RB. I mean, Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao is the biggest fight in boxing history. Richard Schaeffer was a big part of the reason why it didn't happen, though. I mean, he can blame Bob Arum. And, maybe Bob and Pacquiao deserve more of the blame for the 5 years that it took. But the fact remains that while Richard Schaeffer and Oscar De La Hoya were on board, that fight did not happen. So I don't firmly believe that Schaeffer's going to do business with Oscar De La Hoya. And if 154-pound division is one of the divisions that's going to be showcased and Canelo decides he's not a middleweight, how are you not going to have Canelo Alvarez in that tournament? Canelo, in my opinion, is the best 154-pound fighter in the world right now until he moves up. So that would take Richard Schaeffer to have to do business with Oscar De La Hoya. Now, maybe it's a case where Richard's willing, and Oscar's not. So, I mean, that's fine. That's on the other promoters. But between Richard and the Saraland brothers, they're going to farm out. I guess it's others to do business together. But if Canelo tells Oscar, hey, I like the idea of this tournament. I'd like $50 million in my pocket. Yeah, I think there's a way to get him involved.
They went through a nasty divorce. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
Richard Schaeffer was accused of stealing his fighters, taking his fighters, not re-signing their fighters. I mean, it was really, really messy. So I don't know if I see kumbaya in the immediate future at all. I mean, I don't know if any promoter would feel comfortable putting one of their marquee fighters in this tournament.
That's another great point. That's something I was going to raise. It baffles me how, I guess because Richard Schaeffer returns phone calls and he hosts media dinners and he knows how to shake hands with all the right writers, they look the other way. But the fact remains, he's still the guy that gutted Golden Boy Promotions from inside out. He took advantage of Oscar De La Hoya at one of the lowest points in his life. How do you trust a man like that? I worked with PBC, doing the unofficial scoring and the researching for many of the shows. But I said it flat out. Once this guy becomes the face of PBC, I'm out the boat. And, other promoters are going to be thrown out as well. But I'm going to be the one that jumps out. I can't trust the guy. I don't know how anyone would trust him doing business together. So,
and that is fake fucking tape. Listen.
Yeah. It is. It's Jake's motherfucking
Man, listen.
But so with that point, then it's going to get to where Richard might have to start focusing on the guys he signed. Maybe, Mikey Garcia, that seems to be his marquee guy right now. Maybe he should focus on the lightweight division where there's not a lot of big fights happening yet. I mean, there's some that, kind of catch the eye, but maybe you turn that into a superstar division. There's plenty of superstar talent. So maybe he starts focusing on his guys and the Saraland brothers, whose stable really isn't that deep right now. I mean, they have a lot of people, but not a lot of great talent like they used to. So they're going to have to start with their own guys.
Yeah, I feel like this tournament would be good for boxers that maybe don't have a lot of options. Maybe they're not big draws. I think those are the types that be interesting. Almost like Boxino, where it became a really cool tournament because we saw a bunch of guys that we really didn't know, but we liked the tournament style where, if you lose, you're out. And, like a Willie Monroe, like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I'm curious to see about this tournament is this involvement with the sanctioning bodies. Because according to the press release, one of the requirements to participate in this tournament, you have to be ranked in the top 15 of one of the sanctioning bodies. So how
Right.
far deep are they going to get into it? Are they going to have their hand out for a sanctioning fee? Are they going to mandate fighters? Like, say, for instance, by some stroke of miracle, Oscar says, yeah, I'll put Canelo in it. Are they going to mandate that certain fighters fight in order to sensationalize the bouts? Like, I'm curious to see with their involvement, because we know the sanctioning bodies will take a check. They will take a check like Clay Davis without even thinking about it.
That's right. Yeah, I take anybody's money if they're giving it away, right?
That's right.
But I will say this: the money part. I mean, that's going to be for Schaeffer and Sarah Lynn to work out. But I've personally spoken to Mauricio Suleiman, I've spoken to Gilbertico Mendoza, and I've spoken to Paco Barcosel about this, and they're all on board with the tournament. I don't know what agreement they've reached as far as them getting paid, but they all said they will not stand in the way of this tournament happening. If their top ranked fighters are in it or their champions are in it, they're going to allow those fights to happen. I'm not sure about the IBF, and the IBF seems to be the biggest stickler for the rules. Everyone was on board for the Super 6, so I don't see a reason why they wouldn't be on board for this, especially when there's actually more money to be made for them.
For them, exactly.
Right, and especially since their fighters are going to be entered in the tournament. I mean, it's not like, an unranked guy is going to make it. They have to be ranked within the top 15 in the sanctioning body. And I'm thinking they're doing that just to allow these guys to keep making defenses against ranked fighters, assuming that champions do enter the tournament.
I did read that it will be a bracket-style elimination tournament, and that the panel, their expert panel, will be inviting the guys pretty much in the top 10 ranks, right, in the WBA, WC, IBF, and WBO. So it seems like those are the guys that they're going to go after, is top 15 in those federations.
Yes, and the interesting thing that I like, and this is if actually it sticks, I know it's been floated right now, I'm not sure if it's been firmed up, that they're going to take 8 guys in each weight class, and the top 4 seeds are actually going to get to pick who they fight. So if you get like a Demetrius Andrade, say, he's the number 1 seed, the idea that he doesn't have to sit around and wait for a fight, that he gets to handpick, who he wants to fight next, not that he's going to duck anyone, but, or let's say an Aristani Lara, who has been kind of, sifting out his competition lately. But, that would actually entice a Lara to get in there and say, well, if I get to pick the number 8 guy, then hell yeah, I'm in it, So, and all these guys are making 7-figure paydays right off the bat. So this
is a good tournament for Andrade. This is a good tournament for Andrade.
It's a good tournament for Andrade. I'm seeing it mentioned on Twitter. A guy like Tevin Farmer. Yeah.
Yep.
Can't get a fight.
Farmer, Yep.
I mean, Jason Sosa, he took the Lomachenko fight, but had that not come along, I mean, it would have been perfect for him too. A guy that's willing to fight anyone who's fought, around the world, just to keep active. So
if you're in this tournament, let's just for the sake of example, let's just say Gilberto Ramirez and James DeGale enter this tournament, and they fight in the final fight. What happens afterwards? Do you keep your same belt? Do you keep your same ranking? How does this affect that?
I'm assuming all the belts will be on the line,
lose,
just like in the
down
Super
in the
6. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Oh.
Well, I mean, just like when Andre Ward and Carl Froch fought in the Super 6 finals. I mean, Andre Ward walked away as the unified champ. Carl Froch, he dropped down a rank or two, but his career became all the more better for it. He became the superstar out of the tournament, actually. While Andre put his career on hold.
Right.
So, I mean, a tournament like this, I think, if you make it to the finals, it's no big deal if, you lose and you lose your title and, you slip down in the rankings, because everyone's going to want to see, hey, how's this guy going to rebound? Or maybe they make so much money that they don't care what the next step is. Maybe they retire.
Right. Yeah, because just think about it. Even if you lose, you're probably making more money in this tournament than you would if your promoter set up a traditional fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing I will say, this idea was it's not exactly how PBC was supposed to go, but PBC was supposed to be just like 4 weight classes. It wasn't going to be like a true tournament. They were only going to showcase, like, the welterweights, the 130-pound division, the 126-pound division. So it wasn't supposed to be 200 guys spray painted all over a schedule. It was supposed to be just, a few weight classes, one network. And this tournament is kind of getting back to that concept. Like I said, it's not the exact concept that PBC was supposed to be, but it's along those lines. So to me, it could be just, very well unfinished business for Richard Schaeffer. It's something, he, brainchild in 2013. Now he finally has the opportunity to bring it to the forefront.
Well, we'll see.
I think
there's a lot of guys who would benefit from it for sure.
I think this is all going to depend on Jake, promoters working together.
Yeah, definitely.
We don't even see top ranking Golden Boy working together unless it's a mandatory fight. So you're telling me that Schaeffer's going to get all these promoters together to hold hands and put their guys in this tournament. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he thinks, he could wave his Swiss checkbook in the air and, just everyone to, take a whiff of that money and come running. But we've seen in boxing, it hasn't worked that way. So, and, writers keep writing that, Top Rank and Golden Boy are working together, Top Rank and Al Heyman are willing to work together. But we haven't really seen any evidence of it. We've seen the articles written, but we haven't seen the actual fights in the ring. I mean, Terence Crawford fighting John Molina isn't proof that Top Rank and Al Heyman are willing to do business together on an everyday basis.
Right.
So, and this is going to require promoters working together for the next year. And a promoter might be involved, but then if he doesn't like the matchup he gets in the first round, he might say, F you, I'm out of here. And then, and that is one thing. Schaeffer claims that there are contingency plans already in place. Like every scenario is thought out. It's like if this fight happens and this guy pulls out, they're going to have a guy on the card who's scheduled to fight who will be prepared to step in if someone else pulls out. So there's not going to be like any cancellations, any major delays, unless it's obviously the finals. But again, it's well intended, but it's just as goes everything with boxing. It's all a matter of execution. So
yeah, listen, Jake. Before we let you go, I want to get any updates that you have on the. It's really noisy. Is that you or Jay?
That's We Are the World playing in the background. That's We Are
Jay's
the World, because that's apparently what we think we're going to accomplish with this tournament. We're all going to be singing We Are the World.
Oh boy. Yeah. Now take a look. I see USA for Africa. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I want to get any updates you have. I want to get any updates you have on Crawford, Felix Diaz, because word on the curb is we may see Crawford and Iman.
Yeah.
What happened to Granados and Felix Diaz and these people?
Adrian Granados is not HBO's. I wouldn't even say he's a top 3 choice right now. He's a sentimental favorite amongst the boxing cult, but he's not who HBO wants. They might accept Amir Rahman. I think Amir Rahman would need to win a big fight in order to get to May 20th, which is only 2.5 months away. So
I think he's the mandatory, Jake. I think he's his mandatory.
I don't know how he is a mandatory, though. I mean, because he hasn't won a fight.
Well,
since
you know how magic works. You know how magic works in this business.
Yeah.
I know officially his mandatory now.
To my knowledge, the WBC hasn't ordered that fight, though, so it could be something where if Top Rank still doesn't want the Diaz fight, maybe they decide they're going to get Imam out of the way. I do know that May 20th is, as far as HBO concerned, May 20th is the date. I know Top Rank was talking about it might not be Diaz and it might not be in Omaha, and maybe we're going to take it to June. As far as HBO is concerned, the fight's not taking place June 3rd. It's going to take place May 20th. They actually want it in Omaha. I'm not quite sure why it's not going to happen there. I know they wanted to showcase Shakur Stevenson in his hometown in Newark, but he's fighting less than a month earlier. So, I mean, it's granted, the beginning stages of your career, it's not uncommon to turn around that quick, but it's just banking on a lot for a guy, to fight April 22nd, and then 4 weeks later, he's going to be the focal point of a major show. So, Diaz is still HBO's top choice. Lou DiBella and Jose Nunez, they accepted, whatever Top Rank is willing to offer. So it's still on Top Rank. If they want another opponent, then they're going to have to explain why it's not Felix Diaz.
Well, and that
there is nothing.
Jake's
I'm sorry.
take.
There's nothing. There's nothing mandated that says Terence Crawford cannot fight Felix Diaz next.
Interesting. Well, Jake, we thank you again for another installment of Jake's Take. You always, man, you had the fire really lit under you when we were talking about Richard Schaeffer getting back in business. You said this is Jake's motherfucking take.
It's really a sore point. I don't understand how the media, they can roll over, have their belly scratch, and just say, oh, well, fuck it, it's boxing. Who cares what happened? It's just that's a lot to take in. I mean, granted, Golden Boy hasn't exactly gone on the record with any of the details that happened between that implosion, but nobody's ever seemed to dispute the fact that Richard Schaeffer was willing to take all these fighters and just hand them over to Al Heyman, and that Oscar thought he was promoting all these guys, and he had to find out from a third party that he wasn't after recovering, after coming out of rehab. I just don't get it. Hopefully Richard Schaeffer is a changed man and people are willing to trust him and work with him, and if so, then yeah, this is great for boxing, but it's just, it's a lot of trust. That's a lot of trust to put out there.
Somebody's still going to mess it up, Jay, because people don't want to spend their money on attorneys to read things. Everybody thinks they're an expert instead of hiring an expert. So somebody will still manage to mess it up. But we're going to be optimists. Thank you again, right. Jake Donovan, for Jake. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Jake_.
Just Jake in the box. I changed it back. I made it simple.
God bless you. Thank you.
Yes.
It was just too
made
much.
It simple. And Michelle,
Jake,
I do want to thank. Michelle, I just want to give a shout out to you and the whole Peltz Boxing family and the terrific show last Friday.
Yes.
And thank you very much for doing the next show on my birthday, June 2nd. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope that you can be here. We have to do whatever it takes to hopefully get you out here.
That's right.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you both.
All right. Take care, Jake. All right. Quick commercial break, RB, and then we'll jump back into it.
All right, with the fight schedule.
If you want the best, BoxStats beats the rest. BoxStats is the best boxing app for all you boxing enthusiasts and professional boxers. Perform a quick search and get all the info you want and need. BoxStats, available on the Apple App Store. Download it for free today. BoxStats, know your opponent.
And we are back with the Morning Punch and Show with RB and Jay. Before we wrap it up for this installment, we're going to end it a little bit early. I know you're devastated, but we're going to do it anyway. Why don't we go ahead and do the weekend fight schedule on March 17th from Reading, Pennsylvania. See, I said it right that time. Reading, not reading. PBC on Bounce. Travis Kaufman versus Amir Mansour. Headlining the event for 12 rounds of heavyweight. That could be a hot fight. The last fight, man.
It is.
Woo! That's some big boys going to town.
Listen, you have guys like Mike Coppinger and like Dan Raphael. I really respect them, but then sometimes they say like bogus stuff like, oh, this fight doesn't mean anything. This fight is garbage. That Mansour versus Kaufman fight is a really good regional fight in the Philadelphia Reading area. It's a really big fight. There's a lot of talk about it. There's a lot of hype going behind it. It's going to be a good fight. Whoever wins this fight will probably move on to get another little decent fight. So I don't think it's a crap fight, and it's really good for the area. We got to remember that not every fight could be on HBO. You need your local shows too. So I like the fight.
I do too. If I figure out how to get Bounce, I'm going to watch that fight for sure. Also on the card in the co-feature event, Edner Cherry versus Omar Douglas, Kermit Cintron. Like you said, a good regional fight. Kermit Cintron is also from the Reading area, so the fans should be out in groves for that. So look out for that one on PBC on Bounce. Also on the same night from New York City, RB and Jay will be in New York City on Unamaz, making his professional debut. Michael Conlon will take on Tim Ibarra for 6 rounds in the featherweight division. Julian Rodriguez will also take on Jonathan Chicas, so that fight will be on Unamaz and taking place this Friday from New York City. And then, of course, Saturday night, the big dance, get your prom dress out. Gennady Golovkin versus Daniel Jacobs for the WBA, WBC, IBF middleweight titles. In the co-featured again, Roman Chocolatito, not Chocolatito. Chocolatito is Michael Jackson's brother, versus Sriskat Sonrungvisai. That's as best as I can do for Chocolatito's WBC junior bantamweight title. And also Carlos Cuadras versus David Carmona. We got Andy Lee on the card. A full stack card from Madison Square Garden in New York City and on HBO pay-per-view. It's going to be cold, so make sure you kite your girl some coffee when you see it.
Right. So excited for New York this week. Jay, I hope you get in here safely. They're saying we're getting 21 inches of snow. So everyone just pray that we get to New York. But I think that's it, Jay. I think we can wrap up. Unless anybody wants to speak to us, press 1 if you're in the queue. If you'd like to voice your thoughts on Floyd Mayweather-McGregor. If you want to chime in about what's the bigger upset, Chavez beating Canelo, Jacobs beating Golovkin. Anybody wanting to talk to the homegirls?
I see 313-909-916-504-718. Oh, we got a lucky caller. Let's take this 334. 334, you're on with RB and J. Who is this and where are you calling from?
What's going on? This is Dula from Alabama.
What's cracking?
Good, Dula.
What's going on? Hey, honestly, I just don't feel like the Jacobs Triple G, if Jacobs beat him, I don't think that's as big as an upset as Chavez dream Canelo. I just don't think Triple G has had his foot to the fire about his level of opponents. I mean, he's basically been fighting people that was smaller than him. I don't know of anyone his own size that he's fought that you would call an A-level competitor, you know. So, I mean, I don't see it. I don't see much in him. I mean, of course, he's a heavy-handed fighter, but, I mean, who has he beaten that really, you know, was an A-class fighter? I mean, seriously, because I know it may be some weekends or something. I may miss boxing. I know y'all are on it. I mean, is there anybody that he's beaten that's really an A-class fighter?
Well, he has to. Let me pull up his box rec because I don't know his resume by hand.
Wait, who are we talking about?
Yeah, I'm thinking Triple G. Yeah, I'm thinking the best fighter he's fought was maybe
Martin
Lemieux.
Muri, maybe?
And
Lemieux?
Yeah, and Curtis, I mean, Stevens. I mean, that may be his best level of competition. That was somewhat his size. I mean, he hasn't fought anybody his size.
How about Martin Murray? Martin Murray now champion at super middleweight. He was a pretty decent champion, and he had a version of the middleweight title when he fought Golovkin. So that wasn't, you know, I'm going to fill you on Rubio.
Daniel Gill. Well, look, here's what happened. Yeah, there was Matthew Macklin, and, you know, it hasn't been really easy for Golovkin to get the fights that he wants. So he had to fight the guys like Marco Rubio. None of us like that fight. And he's had to fight like the Willie Monroes and Dominic Wades. And I understand because it's almost like he is the boogeyman. I think he's been wanting Danny Jacobs for over a year. It's not that he didn't want that fight. But here's what I do know is that maybe he didn't fight like A++ guys, but he got them all out of there.
Right.
Meaning he goes in there and he finishes them dudes. So he's not going in there dancing around, pulling out boring decisions. He goes in there and he gets it done. So regardless if they're a B fighter or a C fighter, he annihilates people. And I always say, I got a joke about him that when he fights, the fangs come out. You know, he really turns into that type of dude. So that is the one thing I will give him. And Danny Jacobs will be a really good test for him. But here again, do you think Danny Jacobs is an A fighter?
I don't think he's an A fighter. I think he's the best fighter of his size that he's fought. But at the same time, you know, a lot of the boxing world put pressure on guys like Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward, people like that, just to, you know, if it was no competition at their exact weight, for them to step one weight class above. And it's like, you know, he wanted no parts of Andre Ward. He wanted no parts of Andre Ward. You know,
well, here's the thing with that too. Let's just take Floyd Mayweather for an example. It's going to be easier for Floyd to get fighters in the ring because they know how much money they're going to make if they get in the ring with Floyd, period. So from that aspect, if you're going to take an ass whooping, get paid for that ass whooping. You know what I'm saying? Now with Golovkin is not at the draw level of Floyd Mayweather. It would take him, you know, the game is just different now. But do you want to get knocked out badly, which usually is the result, and not take the financial compensation that you would for fighting Floyd Mayweather? So there's that component to think about too. If you're going to end your career and get jacked up, at least get paid for it.
I can see that. Well, I just feel as though he's been, you know, no knock on him. He's been carefully taken care of as far as the choice of fighters that he's fought. But, you know, for people to act like he's just, I guess he is maybe a version of the Great White Hope. I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? But it's just, but he has a, you know, like I said though, just top tier type of fighters. Like the Murray guy, he's not a top tier fighter. I understand he had a belt. He's not a top tier fighter, but if you got a belt, I know you have to give him some respect. But at the same time, he hasn't fought anyone that you just like, hey, Triple G in for it. Now, I mean, I think he may be. He's definitely in for the best challenge that he's had yet, and he could get Jacobs out of there in 4 rounds possibly. But I'm just saying, he's still in for the best challenge as far as athletically and talent-wise that I've seen on paper. Other than him fighting, you know, Kell Brook, which we all knew sooner or later the size was going to play an issue. But, you know, I mean, you saw before actually the size and the power got a chance to take effect on him. I mean, you could see the flaws in Triple G's, you know, game.
Well, let me ask you.
Well, let me tell you, I'm from the, you know, old school mentality where real fighters fight, and I don't think that anybody has been in a hurry to fight Golovkin, or nobody has raised their hand except for Curtis Stevens. Do y'all remember a couple years ago when he was like, I'll fight him, and they sent him the contract, and he signed it. You know, they called his bluff, but he meant it. We have guys like Islandy Lara, Kid Chocolate, and a bunch of other ones that are like, I'll fight Golovkin. Man, they ain't fighting Golovkin. There's a reason. There's a reason. Here, I think the mentality has changed.
Let me ask you this, sir. Who's a fighter? Who's a current champion right now? You can't say Floyd because he's still retired. Who's a current champion that you like right now that you feel has just been a killer at the top of his division, and you like his resume of people he's fought to get there?
I gotta say Canelo.
Mhm.
I mean,
okay, so now
he has one hell of a resume.
He does.
Yeah.
That's it. So so that's a good answer. I thought you were going to tell me something crazy. That's a good answer because Canelo has had a pretty stacked resume. But let's look at Canelo's resume. Alfredo Angulo, is he a top tier fighter? James Kirkland.
No. But in fairness to Angulo, he's not a top tier fighter, but he always presents top level of danger to the opponents.
That fight happened at the right time. We all knew what Angulo was, but that fight happened at the right time because he still had a name behind him. He still had a little fan base behind him. He was a tough son of a gun. But that was like his last hurrah for sure. But let me tell you, after Canelo fought Shane Mosley, he started calling his own shots. He wanted Austin Trout when Austin Trout was in his prime doing good. He wanted the Lara fight when Lara walked up on him on the press conference and Canelo called his bluff. So I got to give Canelo credit because he's been fighting guns. I mean, for real.
Yeah. I mean, you know, that's why I say, man, Canelo, because, I mean, Lara presented a certain level of danger to him as well for his boxing, you know. Yeah. And then I forget the other fighter y'all just named.
Kirkland or Angulo?
Even but even Khan presented oh man, you know, that's why I say, you know, Cotto. Yeah. But that was a close fight, but I give it to Canelo. But even Khan though, I mean, I don't know of too many fights that Khan is going to be in where Khan really doesn't have the boxing advantage. But you know, if you crack that egg the right way, that's not going to matter.
Yeah,
I hear you.
I agree.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in and walking with us. You have a great one.
Thank you.
For sure. All right.
Some good points raised there for our callers. See, I love our callers. We have some informed, intelligent people who tune into this show, so I like that. But it looks like our other souls that are in the queue, they're just parked there. Nobody's pressing one to talk to us, so we can go ahead and wrap it up for the day.
All right. Well, let's see. Make sure you visit badculture.net, rageandbabe.com, blacksportsonline.com, and we will be back next week with the Morning Punchin' Show. Make sure you are following me and Jay super heavy this week. We will be in New York for the Golovkin-Jacobs fight. We will be going to the Top Rank card. We'll be giving you all the behind the scenes. We hope to meet up with a lot of you guys, and if you see us, make sure you say hello and let's snap some photos. Jay, we good?
We good. All right.
We're
Have a great one, everybody.